Thank you for joining us. I'm still warming up to the coach now. How does it feel?
I'm still warming up to it, but it's starting to stick. It's starting to stick. The more I hear it, the better it sounds. The more I feel the responsibility of what coach really means.
You were like an early Christmas gift for the Spartan Nation when you were announced as the head coach. You now move forward. You've gone through spring practices now, and now you're in the fall. How are things? How are things adjusted for your team? And not only that, you yourself.
Yeah, well, the spring is the spring, and it's kind of like a trial run. Good thing for me, I didn't have to take the job and go right into the season. You know, I had a little grace period to get to know my players, get to know my coaches' philosophy, what they felt should be the direction, what I felt could be the direction, and you know, it was just part of the learning process. And so, you know, having a chance to go out and see what we actually had was probably the biggest thing that I wanted to accomplish in the spring. Just seeing what players, you know, could we plug and play, you know, how we had to go in the portal and bring guys in, transfers, so to speak. And I think it worked out, man. It worked out. So now going into the fall, we're real comfortable with our team, and we feel like we can go do some good things, some great things.
Since that being, what is this team like now? You're in your third week of the fall session. You're literally a week out from your season opener.
Just a very confident group, tough, resilient. We challenged them throughout the spring, and you know, just even in the winter when we first started, it was just you know, it was rigorous for them. It was tough for them. We was out there 5:30 in the morning. Running the stadium steps, practicing, you know, just trying to find the edge, just trying to change the mindset, trying to change the culture and what we believed in. And, you know, ultimately that takes discipline, and it takes everybody to, you know, buy in, hold themselves accountable. Like we always say, trust the process and just believe in the direction that we're trying to go in. And so they've all bought in, and they believe that they can win. And, you know, just a tough team.
How is this team different itself from when you were a player? How has the game changed? Now you're putting your coach's hat now on.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, at some points it reminds me of being a quarterback. It's like a lot of responsibility. You got to make sure that everybody's, you know, in the right spaces and right places and doing the right things at all times. It's all got to work in unison. But, you know, just being a coach is, you know, it's delegation. You know, it's making sure that, you know, we're all on the same page. And obviously, you know, and most important, making sure that the message comes across the right way. As we try to accomplish things on a day-to-day basis, and, you know, agenda's going to always change. You know, things are going to change in terms of game plans, but at the same time, when we keep our core principles, we know, you know, we fall in line with that, the good thing is going to happen.
I remember asking you this question probably about a week or so ago, and just the fact that you're a rookie head coach. What era do you feel like in terms of being a rookie coach? What do you compare that to as a player, maybe in high school, college, or even the NFL? You had an interesting answer.
Yeah, I compare it to college because, you know, it was just the unknown. It was the learning curve my first year as far as being a redshirt freshman, and then the second year playing as a redshirt freshman. It was the unknown going into the season, knowing my first game was right around the corner. Being nervous about it, but also appreciating the opportunity that I had and that God had given me. And I remember running out on the field the first time and just looking up in the sky and just thanking God, being nervous, but thanking God for the opportunity, not knowing what direction it was going to go in. And so, you know, I know it'd be the same feel on Thursday night when I can look up in the sky and thank God just for the opportunity and the ability to just try.
Quick question about Izzy Carter. Is he the guy right now compared to Otto Kuntz at this point?
Yeah, Izzy's the guy. Like, you know, we wanted those guys to compete and compete hard. You know, Izzy's a guy who we can develop, you know, continue to, you know, allow and watch grow, get better each and every week is the goal. You know, Otto's a guy that's going to be very serviceable. He's got a lot of experience. And at the same time, is going to push Izzy. They're going to push one another. The whole group is going to push each other. And so, you know, that's why Israel was brought here. You know, he was brought here with a goal in mind, and that's to go out and try to be the best player that he can be.
All right. Well, we got more on the Norfolk State Coaches Show with Coach Vick. You know, he's known to pick apart defenses with his mind, his arm, and his feet. Now He'll get a chance to pick his favorite players to watch for this upcoming season. Sports anchor Shane Fordham will join us in just a moment.
University Coaches Show, sponsored by Bannister Automotive.
Welcome back to the NSU Coaches Show. I have the man himself here to my left, head coach Michael Vick. Now, Coach Vick, this is a very special segment we like to call Vick's Pick. Gives you the opportunity to shed a little spotlight on a player, a coach, a member of the training staff, someone who you think deserves a little shine, a little highlight, a little spotlight for their contributions to the team this week leading up to Towson. So, Coach, for this week's edition, who is your pick?
It's a little early in the week. But, you know, if I had to pick a guy right now, I probably would say one of our team captains, Khalif Jemison. You know, right from Newport News, Virginia. Extremely hard worker, smart player, great leader, great teammate, and understands, you know, now what it takes to be a champion. And not to say that he didn't before, but I think just watching him gel with his teammates, you know, just be on time, be a guy who we can count on, be vocal, you know, even though he's not the most vocal guy. You can see him stepping into that role. You can just see him leading naturally. And so I look at Khalif to just be one of those guys that we can count on and depend on, and obviously ultimately going to teach the younger guys, you know, it's coming behind them how to, you know, be the consummate teammate.
And looking at Khalif, that's one of your incoming guys, new transfer coming in.
Yep.
Would you describe the level of work, the level of consistency that goes into this offseason to sort of earn that role, you know, to be identified by the coaches as a leader on the team?
Yeah, I think it was just about showing up every day, being accountable. We asked them to come in really, really early, you know, based on our schedule and trying to adjust and trying to adapt. You know, it was different for them, just like it was different for us. But you know, the message was, you know, let's just buy in. You know, everybody hold each other accountable. Success doesn't happen overnight, and we're going to have to work hard for it. And so, you know, Khalif is one of the guys, first one in, last one out, always, you know, meeting with his defensive coaches and position coaches and just holding himself accountable and trusting the process.
And this defense is going to have an interesting test ahead in this week one facing a Towson offense. But looking at the team as a whole, you talked about how Khalif was able to gel with his teammates. How does training camp sort of allow the team as a whole to sort of build that identity, to build that chemistry together?
Yeah, training camp takes on a life of its own. You know, it's going to be some tough days. It's going to be some hot days. It's going to be some days where it's easy. It's going to be some days where they're going to fight. And, you know, we had our share of days where, you know, tempers flared. But, you know, I told them I don't want to take the aggression away from you. I just wanted to be controlled. I understand what football is and you know, how it's truly a man's game. And so I allowed them to be free, bring their swagger. And I don't want to take that away from them unless it gets out of control. And if I ever got to question the character, then they'll hear about it. So we just all try to respect one another. They respect me, I respect them, and obviously there's going to be times where I'm going to have to step in and you know, be the referee.
Well, Coach, we are looking forward to seeing how this team gels together, what this output looks like in week one against Towson. But after the break, B. Smith returns for a preview of this Towson matchup. Up next.
University Coaches Show, sponsored by Bannister Automotive.
Next Thursday, the Spartans take on their first opponent of the season in the Towson Tigers, but this won't be the first meeting between these two schools. They've met 3 previous times, one back in 1984, NSU lost. You had to go 40 years later before they meet again in 2023. Their NSU won by 7, but they would lose last season, 28-23 at Dick Price Stadium with me, the coach. What's interesting about a team that's never seen you or your team before going into a game like this?
Yeah, I think, you know, just going into week one is always the unknown. You don't know what they're going to do. You don't know what their personnel is going to be like. They don't know us or what we're going to present. And so, you know, you almost got to wait till you get into the first quarter or the second quarter to see what type of adjustments going to have to be made going into the second half, because, you know, maybe they'll show their identity. early. We'll show ours, and then you'll know in the fourth quarter like how the game gonna be decided. But it's always the unknown with a new football team. But you have so much time to prepare for them, and even in my career, I just that week one game was just so important because they was just always in my mind from the time the schedule came out, and it's been this way since I got here about Townsend. So now it's all about just trusting the process, and once we see visually what's actually happening, and we make our adjustments on the fly.
Last season, the Tigers were 7-5, 5-3 in the CAA, so they were middle of the pack. What do you know about them?
I know they have a very sound football team, very disciplined. Make limited mistakes, and you got to come in and earn every blade of grass. Like it's going to be that way. Good athletes. Got some guys returning. He had some guys leave, but you can either get better or you can get worse. And so, hopefully for us, our situations we got better.
Well, from the other side of the ball, I noticed that their defense is in a bit of a rebuilding mode. Can you take advantage of that offensively with what you got?
Yeah, I think offensively we can take advantage of anybody if we do what we know we can do, and if we go out and execute at a high level and believe in our preparation. I never trusted different new schemes and new players stepping in because you don't know what that player can bring to the table. Might be an amazing player. So I just try to err on the side of giving the opponent credit, but not too much credit, because at the end of the day, it's all about what we do.
How much of a feeling out process is there with that first game in the season opener? It's at home and it's on national TV. So how much of that is a feeling out process?
Adding fuel to the fire on national TV. But I tell our players, like, this is an amazing opportunity for y'all. Hey, look, it's coming along with the territory. Y'all just happen to be blessed. We happen to be blessed that we getting the opportunities that we got for exposure. But like I say, we're not going to put too much pressure into this one game. We know how much this game means to us. But at the end of the day, we got to go live it out, and we got to play it, and we got to get a feel for what we do well. But I know the one thing that they're excited about, they're ready to go out and showcase what they can do. They see where we rank, in a lot of statistical categories, in the MEAC and also just in the HBCU echelon period. And so, we got a lot to be motivated about. And, if that don't motivate you, then you're in the wrong business.
A national audience, we're talking about the fact that ESPN is going to be, ESPN First Take is supposed to be a part of this as well. How do you make that normal for your players who've probably never experienced something like this?
Well, we'll look back on this, and I want us to look back on this and appreciate it. I don't want us to get caught up in the moment. What's happening on the outside has nothing to do with what's happening in the stadium. And so while we getting all this exposure, us taking care of our business is the most important thing, because if you want them to come back, you better go take care of what you're supposed to take care of. And so I try to keep the message real simple and clear for our guys, and try to, reiterate it and say it over and over again before we take steps into, our journey of greatness, and that's what we're calling it. I'm just excited for them. I'm excited that they've worked extremely hard from January into now. And now they get a chance to go actually hit somebody else, because they was a little frustrated over the last couple of weeks. And I think, as brothers, you get, it's almost like you just wailing on your brother every day, because you have to. It's like your dad making y'all go at it. But now, I get to, they get to go, show what they can do against another opponent.
Well, we'll wrap it up with that. Still to come on the Norfolk State Football Coaches Show. More from sports anchor Shane Fordham. He'll talk with Coach about what players have really kind of caught his eye for this year's squad.
University Coaches Show. Sponsored by Bannister Automotive.
You are watching the NSU Coaches Show here with Michael Vick. Now, Coach Vick, you and B. Smith talked about it a little bit in terms of your keys to success, or just the overall preview of this Towson team, looking at the offense. In recap, what are your main keys to success in terms of that will lead to a W against Towson to start off the season?
Yeah, well, earlier I mentioned toughness. I think it starts at controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. control the line of scrimmage, being able to run the football, hopefully be able to play action pass off that. I think defensively is stopping the run, getting to the quarterback a little bit, and just letting them know that we're going to be there for 4 quarters. And so, just a physical game, but ultimately I think on both sides of the ball, controlling the line of scrimmage.
And now, Coach Vick, we know it all starts with the quarterback. You had very high praises for Izzy Carter, the QB1 for Week 1 against Towson. Now, obviously, you being a quarterback, you know what it's like to get ready for Game 1. That tone-setter game of the season. What is your advice to Izzy going into, this early test for him?
It's just stay in the moment. Stay in the moment, enjoy it. Everything that's happening around you. Push your teammates. Push them like never before, but at the end of the day, just do your job. Don't make it more complicated than what it is. We repped it out so that it's not as complicated, and so that they can go play fast, and he'll be able to play fast, and we can use his skill set to our advantage. And so, just want to put him in a position where he can grow, throughout the game and get a feel and a good flow for the game, and just be confident while you're out there.
And you obviously know all about the quarterback position. Tell me a little bit about what you're seeing from Izzy, to make you have this level of trust in him to start off the season.
Seeing really good decision making. Watched him grow up over the last 2 weeks. Beginning of camp, it was it was a little up and down, but that's the growth process. And when you got a lot of potential, when you can do a lot, with your arm and with your legs, I think that's an opportunity to build around a player who has a lot of potential, and then so we can cater the offense not only to Izzy, but him being an extension of the offense to everybody else. And so, obviously, being a great facilitator with the ball, playing keep away with it, protecting it, and then being able to control that line of scrimmage. Like I said, we should have some good product. Some good product.
And last question here, a lot of key matchups in this game. Is there a specific key matchup, position by position, that you have your eye on as coach looking into this game?
Yeah, for me, I'm always, as much as I respect the skill position aspect of it, I'm always pay attention to what's happening up front. I knew going into a game, I probably studied the defensive tendencies, especially up front more than anything, how we match up versus them, our physicality, our toughness, and exactly what we're going to bring to the table. So I'll be watching on both sides of the ball defensively at how we match up versus their offensive line. Are they getting pushed? Are our stunts getting there? Whatever our game plan consists of, are we getting home? And so, I'll be paying attention to a lot of different things because that's going to cater how our plays come out.
Now, if that doesn't get you excited for those watching at home, I don't know what will for this upcoming Towson game. But after the break, B. Smith returns to talk more Towson with Coach Vick after the break.
Step away from the ordinary and into style at Stark and Legham Haberdashery. Level up your wardrobe with quality menswear.
First the Coaches Show. Sponsored by Bannister Automotive.
We're back with Coach Vick and Shane Fordham. Coach, one final thought. What's Spartan Nation looking forward to this team this year?
Oh, man, just a lot of excitement. The guys are excited. The coaches are excited. We can't wait to put on for Norfolk State, for the brand, for the 757, and just show that, it's about to be a change into the guard. And so we know we got to work hard for that, but we believe in our product. So very excited.
Oh, man. Well, that's going to do it for this edition, the first one of the Norfolk State Football Coaches Show. For Shane Fordham and, of course, Coach Vick, I'm Brian Smith. Behold the green and go.
No doubt.